Hello, 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 citizens of the Writer's Corner podcast. Welcome to this week's episode. Welcome back after a short hiatus. This week's episode is episode 39. So close to that epic episode 40. This week we're going to be discussing the character I wish I'd created, in which I'm going to discuss a character I feel has most inspired me, has been one of the most well-written characters I've ever read, that is so complex and has so many layers that I wish I would have created it, or created him or her. So, first let's get to pop culture news though. Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice has earned a record-breaking 166.1 million domestically, and a grand total of 420.1 million worldwide. Despite some heavy criticism from critics and fans, the film has done an amazing job of breaking the box office record for the opening weekend. It's not number one necessarily, but it's still a pretty good record, I think. I obviously have a different opinion of the film, and if you would like to see my review, either in the written format or video format, go either on youtube.com and search Avina Vlogs, and you can see my video review, or you can go on my blog, authoranthonyavina.tumblr.com, and you guys can go see that. So, yeah, you can read my review for that. Fans were also treated to 2 new horror movie trailers this week, over the past weekend, I should say. The Conjuring 2, starring Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. And the other movie is for a movie called Lights Out, which is based on the short film that went around on the internet a few years ago. The films look terrifying, and James Wan is attached as producer for both films. Next, Marvel has announced that their spin-off series, Marvel's Most Wanted, which stars Adrian Palicki and Nick Blood as their characters from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Bobby Morse and Lance Hunter, they are going to be joined by actors Oded Fehr and Fernanda Andrade. These fine actors are going to be joining the cast in unspecified roles. And finally, Disney announced their biannual event, D23 Expo, will be coming July 14th through 16th in 2017, marking their shift in days to the month of July, which is right around the same time as Comic-Con. So I think fans are going to expect that Marvel's films for that year will not be at Comic-Con, but rather at the D23 Expo. Now let's get on to our Lexington and 5th update. This is the week 13 update, or chapter 13 update. The chapter is called Riding in Cars with Fiancés. The song of the week is Smother Me by The Used. And this chapter is going to be dealing with Ella and Connor. Ella is our protagonist, and this is directly after the questioning at the police station after the murders that have occurred with their friends, Kate and I forget his name right now, but anyways, the police are looking into these murders, and Ella and Connor are going to have a discussion about Ella's past with her former friends, what exactly happened that night that Andrew died, and what it means for her as a person. And it's going to be telling to see how Connor reacts and helps her through it. So this is more of a character look this week than more horror action. But look forward to that this Friday on Wattpad.com. You search for author Anthony Avina, or the book title is Lexington and 5th. This will be chapter 13 this week. Now, I have a review for you guys. I recently finished reading the very long and very incredible 11/22/63 by Stephen King, and I thought I'd do a review for you guys. So here it is, and if you want to read the full thing, you guys can go to authoranthonyavina.tumblr.com and search for 11/22/63, and it'll be right there. So here we go. The master of horror and suspense has done it again, bringing a unique and epic look at American history in his novel 11/22/63. The story follows Jake Epping, a high school English teacher who's thrust into a world-changing adventure when his friend and local diner owner, Al, shows him a ripple in time residing in his diner's pantry. Al, who a day ago was living and thriving, is now much older and dying, and wants Jake's help in stopping Lee Harvey Oswald from assassinating John F. Kennedy. When he learns that each time he steps into the past, he goes back to the exact same day in 1958, he first goes back in time to help another friend of his, Harry Dunning, whom was brain damaged after his father murdered his family and left him for dead. After a mildly successful trip to the past and stopping the murder, he realizes he has the power to rewrite history, but will face life and death situations when the timeline tries to stop him from meddling. Soon he returns to the past and spends the years there, investigating and following the life of Lee Oswald in order to determine if he was the sole assassin. However, life gets very complicated for Jake when he meets Sadie and falls in love. Juggling a desire to stay in the past and continue his mission to save Kennedy, Jake must face the complications of living a double life, fighting the timeline's attempts to stop him, and saving the woman he loves from the dangers of her past. This book is a phenomenal read and showcases that Stephen King is still at the top of his game. Readers are going to get a very real sense of what life was like back in the late 50s and early 60s, as this novel showcases the vast differences in societal views, exploring themes of racial tensions, religious oversaturation, and the global political scene as a whole. It actually has a lot of bearing on the current political landscape in our world, and manages to bridge the gap between the past and the present. It also is a thrilling adventure that explores the age-old question, are things meant to happen the way they do, or can they be changed? 11/22/63 is a must-read novel that demonstrates to new readers why Stephen King is still a master of his craft. While longtime fans will enjoy the nods to Stephen King's established universe, and the larger-than-life questions he always asks throughout the themes of this novel, if you haven't read this, you should read the book today. So there you go. That was my review, my official review of 11/22/63. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, let's get on to the main topic of today. We are going to discuss the character I wish I'd created. There are so many great books and so many great characters in the history of mankind. We have authors like Shakespeare and Orson Welles. Those are just a couple, but there's so many great authors and poets like Robert Frost and Emily Dickinson. Their books and their poems have characters, which, if you think about it, is like another way of creating life. We're bringing these characters to life. And there's one character in particular that has always been an inspiration for me when I'm writing. For those of you who don't know me, you may know that Stephen King is my favorite author, and my favorite book series of his is The Dark Tower. So for those of you who do know that, you may know that Roland Deschain, aka the Gunslinger, the last Gunslinger, is my favorite character of all time, and I wish I'd created him. He's just so complex. When you first meet him, you think that he is just a gunslinger. He is a man on a mission to stop a bad guy. But there is so much more that goes into his character. You realize the complicated history that he has with his family, with his father, with his mother. You get to see the harsh, brutal upbringing that his people had as gunslingers. The training that they went through from an early age. You get to see his first love and the tragedy that came with that first love. You get to see the horrors of war played out in his past. And you also get to see the fall of his people and his kingdom, and how he became the last one standing, how he's the only survivor of his people. And you get to see what has made him such a closed off person and a hardened person. And you also get to see how he reacts when people come into his life that actually begin to open him up again, that get to make him get in touch with his emotions and make him care about something other than his mission. After a while, you get to see him actually feel love again after years and years of having everything ripped away from him and being isolated and alone. It's such an interesting character to see the evolution that he goes through from just a battle-hardened warrior on a mission, and on one mission, one single-track mind, to the complexity of fulfilling that mission with people you love back in your life. And getting to see this man who spent most of his life as a soldier, pretty much, just going through his missions and doing what was needed, and then having this guy alone without anyone to guide him on his mission anymore, or to tell him what to do. And he's thrust into this world that is just so vast and unknowing, filled with magic and science and untold enemies and creatures and parallel worlds. It's a lot for anyone to take in, and to see him navigate this world with his new friends and loved ones is such a fascinating read. It's what's made me want to be a writer. This character and the complex layers to his psyche and his personality has inspired me to become a better writer and to make characters that embody what he embodies, which is heroism, but at the same time real life tragedy. And it inspired me because we get to see the man underneath the hero persona. So many times we see characters who are just outright heroes, but we don't know what goes on in their heads and what makes them who they are. You know, we don't always think about the fact that they are people, and that they are not perfect, that they have flaws, and that they feel emotions, even though they have a mission to partake in. So that's why Roland Deschain, aka The Last Gunslinger, from Stephen King's The Dark Tower series, is my all-time favorite character that I wish I had created. Well, there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the podcast. I know it's a short one, but I thought this was a fun topic I wanted to discuss with you guys. As the year is going to go on, I'm going to have a lot of things developing that I can talk more about with you and have more topics to discuss, not discuss. I don't know what the discuss is. I wanted to make an announcement. I've made it on my Facebook page. If you haven't seen the video, I put up an 8.5 minute video making this formal announcement. I've also vlogged about it, and other people have been posting about it, but I have a book contract with a publisher for the first time in my life. I was able to sign a contract with a publisher for a book I have not published before, and we are going to be working on that this year, getting it published. I can't discuss who the publisher is or what the book is about or its title even, but once I get the go-ahead from my publisher to discuss all that, I will share it with you. But as the process goes on, I'm hoping I'll be able to discuss other topics like the publishing process, how to edit, working with an editor, stuff like that. So look forward to that this year on the Writer's Corner podcast. That'll do it here for us. Thank you for listening or watching on YouTube. In the comments below, let us know what character you wish you'd created, whether it be a book character, film, television, video game, whatever. Leave your comments down below letting us know, and let us know what you'd like to discuss next time on the Writer's Corner podcast. And if you guys have any questions or comments and would like to have it featured on the podcast, make sure you leave it in the comment section as well, and maybe I'll give you guys a shout out in the next podcast, alright? Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. If you are listening to this on SoundCloud or iTunes, please hit that subscribe button. It means so much to me. And if you leave your reviews, if you like this podcast, or if you have some constructive criticism, not bashing, constructive criticism, please leave it in the review section, because any tips or ideas really help improve the podcast as much as possible. I'd really appreciate it. And check out the links in the description of this podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud to see all my social media and Amazon and all that fun stuff. So, if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching. Please give this video a big thumbs up. Like this video, comment on it, favorite it, and share it. If you have not yet, please hit that subscribe button. It means so much to me if you could. And hit the eye in the sky to see today's recommended videos, playlists, and more. Thank you for watching, guys, and for listening. And we will see you next week for episode 40 of the Writer's Corner podcast. This is your host, author Anthony Avina, signing out. Long days and pleasant nights, my friends.